Trump just dropped a nuke on the deep state. Trump just took the gloves off. Trump just manned up. Trump just leveled up. And people don't get how huge this is. This is mega.
This is your show, bro.
Well, I don't normally do this.
No,
but I mean, this is awesome. This is everything we wanted.
You saw the Pam Bondi, obviously, back and forth. What do you think about Pam Bondi in general?
That's what did it. That's a whole nother. That's the problem is each little thing I just said is like 30 minutes of detail. Because now I had all the pieces more than anybody. I'm not bragging. This is true. Now it all went like the final jigsaw puzzle went in. I'm like, about 4 hours, 5 hours ago, this hit. I was just in my hotel room going.
You think that hearing is what did it to her, right? Basically, like they went after her.
Well, here's who Pam Bondi is. She's a PR person. She's not bad. She's not involved. Yeah. We knew this when she got in. She likes Trump. He likes her. He thought he could trust her. They put her in. And then early on, Susie Wiles came in and they said, listen, we know there's all these rich people. Ludwig told him, sir, I'm not involved with him, but it'll crash the stock market. This is old case. You can't prosecute him anyways. Plus, look, you're all in these files with
Ludwig, his neighbor.
And they loaded all these lies. But then Ludwig got caught lying.
Yeah.
He's at the aisle and everything else. And Trump said yesterday, he said, I didn't know Ludwig did that. He lied. So Trump, according to my sources who were in the meetings, yesterday and this morning, called him and he said, listen.
Who called him this morning? Sorry.
He had meetings yesterday and today with his cabinet.
Oh, okay. You mean Trump having this morning? Okay.
This is exclusive.
Yeah.
No one knows this. I've talked to multiple people, one that was in the room and other people that heard about it, and also people that were delivering my message, and which I'm here in Florida delivering to the family. Like, listen, you're committing political suicide, self-inflicted wound. We know you're not in there. I had Mark Mitchell go 3 months ago to the White House, show him the numbers. This is what's. We know he's not involved already. We know it was over the stock market because I was with people that were in the meeting over a year ago, 13 months ago when he was president-elect. And they told him this. And I've said it probably 1,000 times on air. Folks, I don't agree with it. People said I'm covering up for it. I was just saying with their idea, their mindset. I'm not agreeing with that. It'll crash the stock market. You got hundreds of head bankers, heads of universities, heads of brokerage firms, the royalty, not
Bill
just...
Gates as well.
Bill Gates. Oh, it just goes on and on. All of top Obama's people. It's all Democrats, 99%. But they came to Trump and they said, if you bring this out, it'll bring down the stock market. I probably said, let's not exaggerate, 500 times the last year and a half that expect this to happen, because I was already told, don't expect this because this is what happened. And I said, you're making a mistake. They're going to stab you in the back. They said, no, they're not. And I said, that's wrong. But notice Bondi 3 days ago, or Thursday, was in that congressional hearing. Yeah. And she goes, it'll crash the stock market and bring down the system, I tell you. And people got the clips of me saying that like 100 times. So, but finally Trump got, oh my God, it's going to crash it anyways. I've been double-crossed. So this morning, he said, you're all fired. This is people in the meeting. Wow. He said, you're all fired. He said, I want, by the way, behind the scenes, Trump used to cuss some. He also, you see when he's hoarse, he goes, I'm sorry, I'm screaming people. He said, listen, mother, I'm sick of being tied to this shit. I'm the one that dropped a dime on him 18 years ago. He goes, you're all fired if it isn't released. Do you understand me? They released the whole list of anybody in his files. Oh. They released 3 million more files, and Trump said, I will fire every one of you. Because they came to him and said, sir, they say your wife's a hook. They all this stuff that was all recycled from 9-10 years ago, which I said it was, and it came out. They said his wife's a hook. For Epstein, that wasn't true. He had a modeling agency that she was at. She wasn't at that. So they were with him and telling him, you don't want to do this. They tricked him, and now Trump went thermonuclear. He finally listened to us. He finally listened to Roger Stone and others, and this is historic. And I'm told Congressman Tim Burchett and others have said they have already been access to this, okay? And they said, if you think the Satanism and the cannibalism and the blood drinking is bad and what you saw before, they said what is in these new files is going to shake everybody. And they warned you, don't even look at it if you don't want to have nightmares. I mean, this is, folks, this is the Death Star. This will be a day long remembered. I mean, this is mega freaking massive. And they're not going to, I noticed the economists, the Rothschilds, they say in the magazine they own it. It's like, oh God, yeah, oh look, here's all the files, we cross-referenced them, and you notice you search them, there's no Trump, no emails, no communication. They're like, oh, we're exposing, oh look, the Rothschild lady was in charge. Even the Rothschild publications having to burn themselves. So this is rats leaving the sinking ship. But here's the danger. What do you guys think, and I'll shut up when you go through all the pieces.
No.
What do you think they're about to pull now that this is going down? Because the deep state, they got codes to bring down power grids. They got all sorts of networks. They got all sorts of, terror groups they're funding. They got weird white supremacists out in the woods. No, seriously, you saw famously Maxine Waters say, there's Trump's training white supremacist militias and all. No, yeah. They got all sorts of crazy groups, radical Islam groups, all Hezbollah wound up, ready to go. So I'm saying we're in a maximum danger right now because Trump just dropped the hammer, man.
The nuke.
He just dropped the nuke.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Because
That should be the headline. Trump just dropped a nuke on the deep state. Trump just took the gloves off. Trump just manned up. Trump just leveled up. And people don't get how huge this is. This is mega. Okay, that's as much.
Yeah.
This is mega.
This is your show, bro.
Well, I don't normally do this, but I mean, this is awesome. This is everything we wanted. And let me tell you, they ain't getting out of this. I mean, the stuff. I was driving over here, just looking at the stuff, and your crew's awesome doing small talk. I was kind of like, I mean, it's just cannibalism, murdering kids, delivering slaves. I mean, it's just. So you tell me what I want to show? God, I mean, this is.
Dude, imagine he got it right there and then. The information. Let's do the show. Let's go. I'm like, we're going. Traffic.
Like I said, I'm tired. I'm dead. But I said, look, there's certain times you got to just, hey, we got to make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So holy crap.
Well, as hot as your girlfriend is, I gotta just look at her. Gotta wake up right away.
Let's go. Wait, but Mario, apparently we don't like girls. Apparently.
Yeah, apparently not.
Apparently.
We're remember that.
Apparently.
You put me on blast, Alex.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah, we are all. That's what they always say, right?
Frogs in the water.
Yeah, harvest the blueberries.
Yeah.
I was like, the blueberries will make you.
Yeah. That's the frogs.
Let me say, none of us are getting any.
So okay, so let me ask you this, I guess. So obviously Trump's been doing really good with the poker face with the Epstein files. I've said it for a while, like, man, this is gonna hurt him a lot because the DOJ has been doing some good work with all the other stuff they got. The arrests are up.
And you're a former federal agent. You know stuff.
They've been compared to the Chris Wray's FBI and Merrick Garland's DOJ. They're way better.
They were going in reverse, covering up. Trump was going up 50 miles an hour. Now he's going 1,000 miles an hour.
So I didn't realize, and I didn't know that it was like this much with the Epstein files, but I could see why, because like it was hurting his legacy. You know, people were saying, what the fuck's going on? And he released everything. Where do we go from here, man? What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is listeners got mad at me saying I was covering up. I was talking to the White House. I was talking to these people, only with that. And I was getting their view and telling them what's now come out. But I was telling the White House, don't do this. They're going to stab you in the back. And you know how investigations are. When stuff's 20 years old, you're never going to get it. And then I'm not accusing all the victims of being bad. I'm just saying most of the victims, they kind of keep it the 14-year-olds and up, who most of them became operatives getting other kids. So they have an incentive not to say what they really did. So when they say, oh, these victims know everything, no, the files know it all. Yeah. And so you just can't go off these that were used and set up to, he was buying kids 8, 9, 10 years old in Eastern Europe who he'd bring back and use for years and years as lives, who he would then
get a house in Paris and everything,
who he would then organize to be the handlers of the other girls. So he used to control all the other slaves.
Yeah, no, it was crazy how he had this layered system, because I went through the West Palm Beach case file stuff, and he'd get these high school girls, recruit them, they'd do the massage, whatever, and then they would get other girls, and he'd just pay them all, and he kind of like had it was how he would insulate himself. That's what so him and Glenn would be first, then he'd get the other girls, then they would do all the work in getting all the other girls.
So he's a real pimp.
Kind of. But like
a super pimp.
Yeah, in the wrong way, but yeah.
Yeah, but if evil pimp's got a cape, he's Superman.
Yeah, pretty much. So let me ask you this then, Alex, because obviously you've went through the files, you've been looking at this for decades. What is Trump's role specifically with Epstein? What was their actual relationship? We hear different stories from the media. CNN says they're best friends. Fox News says he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. You know, the file came out where he reported him to the West Palm Beach in 2006. Can you kind of give us a quick, actually take your time, an overview? What was their relationship? When did they stop being friends? What was it in totality?
Yeah, I mean, we've had New York Times articles saying that they were best friends.
Yep.
That's not true. Before I endorsed Trump 10 years ago, I talked to the authors, I talked to the experts. Remember, I was already an expert on human trafficking, government operations, pedophilia, knew all the Ted Gunderson and John DeCamp and all the guys that had literally exposed it in the Democrat and Republican Party. These are the guys that had in the front page in 1989. You can pull it up in the Washington Times. Underage call boys, midnight visits White House. Underage call boys, midnight visits White House. And so these are the guys that exposed the CIA base in D.C. producing child snuff films. These are the guys that did all this. So well, not that I'm smart. When I was first getting on air, I was having these guys on, Kathy O'Brien, Mind Control, MK Ultra, all this stuff. And so Trump is in New York. His dad's super conservative. He has his own business, gets $100 million from his dad. He works with Roy Cohn, the famous anti-communist that was the lawyer for McCarthy. That's Trump's MO. But Epstein comes along in the 90s and is the head of the Trial Commission and has all this investment stuff. And so just like Steve Bannon, they do business. But it's like in investments in real estate and stuff. And that's what Trump knows. And so Epstein, obviously is in New York. Trump's in New York. And then you got the satellite at that time down here in Palm Beach. And so all that's public, that they're in events, they're at public shows, they're socialites, they're in some videos and photos together. But we knew, and Roger Stone exposed this 10 years ago when I first endorsed Trump. He wrote a book about it, Clinton and their war on that Trump first dropped the dime to the Palm Beach police and got him indicted. So all that new news that's been released in the last tranche of Epstein files a few weeks ago, that's old news. It was Trump that was the informant. And then Michael Wolff, who is number 3 in the files, the most mentioned, the most emails, dirty Democrat operative, he is in there over the last 8-9 years, constantly with Epstein. And they made recordings together that have been come out. Like, how do we set Trump up? He's like, he never took massages. He never came to the house. We can't get him. I know he's the one that dropped the dime on me.
Real G.
Yeah. So what's crazy is, that's why I was saying, like, Trump's not involved. Trump dropped the dime. But it wasn't until, and then Trump, until 2 years ago, was like, yeah, release it all. Then they come to him when he's president and they go, sir, it's hundreds of bankers, it's heads of universities, it's top scientists. This will kill the faith and credit of the U.S. Plus it's old, plus it's full of crap, plus the Democrats control the file, it's going nowhere. You need to just kill it. So Trump said, fine, kill it. And I was like, and I was told people that were, I told them, I said, do not do this. They're going to stab you in the back and claim you're involved. And they're like, that's ridiculous. I'm not involved. And I said, they don't care. They're already caught. They're done. All they can do is trick you to grab victory from the jaws of defeat, or to grab defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah. To grab defeat from the jaws of victory. So it's taken me a year of literally hammering him and hammering his advisors, because you can talk to him and it's just, he's always like the next thing. He's very savantish, very autistic, I would say. Definitely Asperger's at the next level. Not in a bad way, but he's a cut above the rest in a weird way. But I finally, I had to go ape on air the last week. I had to come here and I had to tell him, I said, I'm going to come bullhorn Mar-a-Lago, because I can go meet with Trump if I want to, but it's more efficient. I've done it before when his first admin on the Russiagate fired some people, which he did fire. That whole 60 minutes on it, I finally got a bunch of people fired by bullhorning for 2 days off and on the White House. And then Trump could hear it and came out and watched it and said it finally fired him. So it's like he can't get his attention. He's like, I'm going to get the Panama Canal and stop China. I'm going to take over Venezuela. I'm going to cut off the voting machines that are fraud. I'm going to get 20 trillion in investment. He's like, his brain is like, he's like goal oriented, like he has a scale of things. He's like, I'm not involved in Epstein. I'm safe. I don't want to go there. But I'm like, that doesn't matter. They're going to make this the litmus test for you. So, I'm not trying to give myself the credit, but it's true. A bunch of other people are doing it too. I literally said, I'm coming to Florida, and I said, and I'm staying here until I was going to stay until next week. Then I got the word yesterday. I said, you'll be pleased what's about to happen this morning. I was like, watch what happens. I was like, we'll see. So I was like holding off to see what's going on, because I was going to go to Mar-a-Lago with a gigantic bullhorn and scream for days, and the whole press would be there. But the point is
time to release everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. But the point is, that's the power of the people. But it's also the fact that Trump wasn't involved. So now all these emails and text messages, he's ratting them out to the feds, he's ratting them out to the local police. Yeah, that's who Trump is. I remember Roger Stone telling me this before it was even in the news like 10 years ago, and he's Trump's confidant. He's like, Virginia Giuffre, she had another name, it was her maiden name. She's there, she works at the place, and Ghislaine Maxwell pulls her out. And then they caught Epstein pull another girl out. And all the victims say they never saw Trump, other than the 2 that worked there. They say he's totally nice. They'd see him walk by. And so Trump literally came to Epstein the first time. He said, don't pull another girl out of here. They pulled another, and he got and dropped the dime on him. So that shows how much he's involved in the minutia of his business.
Because he was pissed off that they were taking his employees.
They were taking his employees.
Yeah.
And Epstein says all that to Michael Wolff. So I'm on air going, hey, Trump's not involved. I don't know why he's covering up. We know he thinks he'll crash the stock market. Not just got to believe Trump. And the Democrats spin it. Oh, God, you're all the pedo party. No, guys, it's hundreds of top Democrats, hundreds of university heads, all these Hollywood people going to the island, delivering kids, eating babies, draining blood, adrenochrome. It's all in there, grinding up bones. It is, they are, but what else do they do? They just put on this confidence act, puffed up like roosters, hoping he would be intimidated. And for a while he was, because he's like, this is embarrassing, but it's over. They are completely screwed now.
Yeah. What was the extent of their friendship? I know they were friends for a bit. It seems like party mates or whatever. What was the extent of that?
Well, I don't just believe Roger Stone. Back in the day, the New York Times was more accurate. Roger's only 51 years. And Trump doesn't cheat on his wives, but in between marriages, he's quite the horn dog. and he likes... And his
he doesn't cheat on his wives. I give respect. He doesn't cheat on his wives. Okay, he's
that's
better
fair.
man than me, man.
Man of honor.
Okay. But have you ever met like Melania? She's intimidating.
Okay.
He's the opposite of pedo. He's not in Russia. That proved it fake being talk about hookers. A, he's not into that. He's a neat freak. B, he's not going to let somebody have control of him.
Yeah,
he's not
smart.
going to let somebody, do something like that. He knows it's a setup. Knows it's cameras. That was all proven to be an MI6, Clinton, Obama.
I'm going to ask you about Clinton and Obama after this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what was the question though?
With Trump, the extent of their friendship, like what was it exactly? Because you hear different accords.
So what Epstein claims he is, or the media did later, is what Roger Stone was. But Roger Stone was the political advisor, gave him the idea to run for president, and then Roger was his wingman in between divorces, because he go years not married.
So Roger Stone was his wingman, not Epstein.
No, Roger Stone was his wingman.
Okay.
And Roger Stone would just go out on double or triple dates so that the media wouldn't pick it up and say who he was dating.
Okay. All right.
And so some of that's hit the news, but that's the MO. And so he was his wingman. That's a lie in the media that he was friends or even best friends with him. He would see him at events. He was nice. This guy was the head of the Reliable Commission for David Rockefeller, his gopher, and he was the head Rothschild representative. So Trump on record mainly got his investment for stuff from U.S., German, but after that, the Rothschilds are his third biggest investor. So, but that's what they do. I mean, they're the richest family in the world.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're
oh,
really
God,
involved in everything, dude.
I was at 7-Eleven today buying some lifesavers. I mean, I work for them. The point is that this is it. It's like I flew on American Airlines. I don't mean I own it. So, yeah, it's the U.S. banks, German banks, some Swiss banks, and the Rothschilds are right there. So, no, Trump has, but he always paid his debts back and did a good job. It was a good investment. So, of course, he's hanging out with the Rothschild head of the Trial Commission. I mean, at parties, everywhere else being nice to him. But as soon as he came in and cut out some of his employees, he got on his ass. And Wolf talks about it, and Epstein's like, yeah, he was right on my ass. So, like, what are you doing, man?
Hey, pause.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I owned all this stuff. How would I know somebody's pulling girls out of my business?
Yeah.
So Trump's on it, man. And but that's
what year was this roughly when he I'm trying to remember when he banned him from Mar-a-Lago for pulling
18 years ago.
18 years ago. Okay.
Wow.
But it's the same thing. You can pull up the audio of this.
07. Oh, right around the time he was getting picked up for the other stuff.
Well, he reported it first.
Yeah.
Trump's the one that dropped the dime.
Yeah.
Or 19 years ago. But here's the deal. You can pull this audio up.
Because if you do look at the FBI files, now that I mention it, now that you mention that, when you look at that, because I remember going through the FBI files, for a while, the names were redacted of the people that were given the information. At least this is years ago when I looked at it. So now it's unredacted, and the West Palm Beach reports also were redacted when it said informant XYZ, they'd redact it.
And now it's Trump. But here's the deal.
Yeah,
people also say, oh, the new 3 million files, they're redacted. Congress is able to see the redacted names.
Oh, they can?
Yeah, so Congress can see all that now. So and look, I say just release it all. But then we also had some of the victims saying, pull the last tranche because now they've been put in there. So the point is they're fully released now because Congress can see the redacted names. So let the games begin.